get some more on all of this. Republican Congressman Adam Kinzinger of Illinois is joining us. He's a member of the Foreign Affairs Committee. Congressman, thanks for joining us. And as you know, these filings show that federal prosecutors are accusing President Trump directly of directing his lawyer, Michael Cohen, to commit felonies in order to influence the 2016 presidential election. Do you believe, if proven, that would be an impeachable offense?
No, I mean, that's a political decision that will have to be made, evidently, by the incoming majority. Do I think that an FEC violation rises to the level of impeachment? Probably not. We have to see all the details of that. All I'm getting is what you guys are getting in your reporting, which is some of the scraps of what's been filed in court. I think there's going to be a massive more download at some point so that we know all the details. When you look at issues of impeachment and what's taken for impeachment, I think it's got to be something massive, and that's going to be, again, it's a political decision that's made by the House of Representatives at that point. But I'm not sure if saying, you know, an FEC violation, for instance, rises to that level. It's a decision that the Democrats are going to have to make, and it's one that they're going to have to live with politically. And also, you know, does this reach that level of the Constitution, what the Constitution calls for? But
if the president, then the candidate, personally directed his lawyer, knowing, fully knowing it was a violation of campaign finance laws, to offer that hush money to those two women, and doing it fully aware that it was a campaign finance violation, would that be a serious crime?
Well, I think it would be a serious issue. You know, you're trying to ask me to say crime or impeachment. There's a lot of information I still don't know. Is paying somebody to be quiet in and of itself a violation of the law? I don't think so. The question is that done, and can they make that connection to say that was basically an illegal in-kind contribution to benefit a presidential campaign? And that's going to have to be something that the prosecutors will litigate in court and will be presented at some point before the House of Representatives, potentially, where they make that decision. But is, you know, in essence, illegal in-kind contribution, does that rise to that level? I don't see it right now, but there's still a lot of information to come out.
Yeah, the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, on that lengthy document that they filed on Friday, they did say it was a felony and that the President of the United States, then the candidate, actually directed Michael Cohen to go ahead and commit that felony. So they're accusing the President of committing a felony.
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, like I said, I've seen those. I've heard the gist of them. I haven't read all the documents. My guess is there's much more forthcoming. But the question of whether that's a crime is not necessarily in the payoff, if that's what it was, but it's in whether that constitutes an illegal in-kind contribution. And I'll tell you, there's campaigns fined all the time by the FEC for violations, whether it's in-kind illegal contributions, et cetera, that don't necessarily lead to impeachment of somebody from office or to jail time.
These filings also revealed, Congressman, additional contacts between Russians and people in the president's orbit, at least now, by our count, at least 16 Trump associates, and you can see them up on the screen, had at least some sort of contact with Russians. How do you explain that?
No, I can't explain it. I don't like it. I don't, you know, I've always had some kind of creepy feelings about Paul Manafort. Even before the president was sworn in, he was very clearly sympathetic to Russian interests, to pro-Russian Ukrainian interests. I was very upset when they changed the Republican national platform to include or to take away support for Ukraine against their fight against Russia. And so there's a lot of information I looked at, and you know, 2 years ago was wondering what Paul Manafort's role in some of this is. We have to understand how Russian spycraft works, where they try to, in essence, climb a ladder to influence, to do things like that. And as a functioning democracy, we have to protect ourselves against that. I think it's a leap right now to say that automatically goes up to the president versus some of the people around him. We don't know that. What we do know is there are people that are being prosecuted by Manafort, cutting deals or not cutting deals, that had Russian associations. Is it illegal to talk to the Russians? Probably not. But the question is, what were the Russians trying to do, and what were they doing on behalf of the Russians? That's information I think we're fully going to get whenever the Mueller report comes out, which I hope is sooner than later.
Here's what's concerning, and I'll get your quick response, is that several of those individuals of the 16, they lied about their contacts with the Russians, and not one of them actually reported to the FBI or federal authorities that Russians were getting involved with them for the purpose of aiding in the campaign. That's a serious problem.
It is a serious problem. I mean, nobody, whether you affiliate with Republicans or Democrats or independents or anywhere else in between, should ever be working on behalf of a foreign government, much less the Russians. Nobody should ever be, because of their political stripes, not subject to the law, whether you're Democrat or Republican. And so what we're seeing is pieces of this puzzle, whatever the final puzzle looks like, and that's what Robert Mueller, whenever he completes his report, will put before us, and we have to analyze.
Congressman Kinzinger, thanks so much for joining us.
You bet, Wolf. See ya.
All right, up.